comes to Zelensky and Ukraine, President Trump means business. He has made the decision to suspend all military aid to Ukraine late yesterday, which has the world's western capitals aflutter. Trump told reporters yesterday he believes Russia wants peace, but that, quote, someone doesn't want to make a deal.
And the deal can be made very fast. It should not be that hard a deal to make. It could be made very fast. Now, maybe somebody doesn't want to make a deal. And if somebody doesn't want to make a deal, I think that person won't be around very long. That person will not be listened to very long.
That comment reflects MAGA's growing calls for Zelensky to step aside or maybe hold an election in Ukraine.
Stopping aid to Kyiv is just one of a string of moves that could have been plucked straight from Vladimir Putin's personal playbook. Some of the other friendly moves by Trump includes a move by Pete Hegseth yesterday to suspend offensive cyber and information operations against Russia, even though they certainly have them against us and ongoing. Trump is also ordered to look at what sanctions against Russia could now be loosened. Trump has been on a Moscow-friendly tirade as he says he wants to spur peace in Ukraine and have a closer tie to nuclear-powered Russia.
Meanwhile, Peter Ducey of Fox News reported the following about the feud between Zelensky and Trump.
I have been told by a senior official here that nothing's going to happen with this minerals deal until Zelensky goes in front of cameras and makes an explicit public apology for the way that he behaved himself, behaved in the Oval Office with that meeting.
Now, many in MAGA world say they believe Trump is dead on correct about the right path. Representative Darrell Issa tweeted this in support. Today, I will nominate Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. No one deserves it more.
Across the Atlantic, there are growing calls to finance security or reconstruction with the roughly $300 billion owned by Russia's central bank that had been frozen. The funds were frozen by the United States, the European Union, Britain, and others after Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022. The aim then was to punish President Vladimir Putin for his unprovoked attack and to cut off funds he could use to wage war. Now, many others than the United States could release the funds to Ukraine.
Well, on that last strategy, clearly hasn't worked. We have not put any dent in Russia's financial willingness or desire to continue a war against Ukraine. And if Europe was really serious about punishing Russia, they could end their addiction to Russian energy, something Donald Trump has warned them about for years and years and years and years. You know, look, if Europe wants to Europe should start taking this more seriously. They think this is existential. They stand with Zelensky. Then they can pay for it, and they can really stick it to Russia by having different energy options. Clearly going in a non-nuclear direction was a catastrophic mistake that made them more reliant on Russia. But here we are. I still hope a peace deal is possible. I don't really care if Zelensky apologizes or not. I don't care if he puts on a suit or not. All of that's a little silly. But he should come back, agree to the deal, and we should have peace. What's wrong with that?
The issue is, what's the deal? We all want peace. The idea here is just telling Ukraine to roll over is hardly a peace deal. You know, I'm not frothing at the mouth here, but I have to tell you something. I know what a toady for Russia looks like, and that would be Donald Trump at this point. Everything he is saying is exactly what the Russians would have him say. When you say that Europe should step up more, they are planning to step up more, and they have actually given more money than we have. The European continent is trying to protect itself. What we're talking about now, what Trump is talking about now, what you seem to support, would be Russia just going in there. This would be the opposite of peace. And without any kind of security guarantees, we talk about America first. Shouldn't Europe, doesn't it make sense that they'd be talking about Europe first? That Ukraine would be talking about Ukraine? For us to just say, roll over, he's going to go in there. This is a brutal dictator. The American people are asking, what the hell's going on here? This man is a brutal dictator who kills his political opponents. That's who Putin is. And yet now we're voting with him. This is an earthquake in world geopolitics. We are attacking and ditching our loyal allies, and we are siding with Belarus and Iran and North Korea and Russia at the United Nations. Something is going on here that doesn't pass the smell test. And when you talk about the polls, 81% of the American people say that we should not be trusting Vladimir Putin. So should we be trusting the views of a man who, he will say things like, Russia and I, we've really been through a lot together. And I think, and we're going to be talking to Sarah Kinsey about this later, yeah, what has he been going through with the Russians over the last few decades? I think the American people are starting to ask some intelligent questions, and it's about time.
A lot I can say in response to that. Look, I don't have any. I'm perfectly clear-eyed about who Vladimir Putin is and who Xi Jinping is, and who the people who lead Iran and North Korea and all these other bad countries are thugs and authoritarians. Absolutely, but we are parting ways with the neoconservative bipartisan notion that we can just wipe out people we don't like and rebuild their countries and have peace and love and it'll be great, that they'll welcome us as liberators. Well, that doesn't work.
That's hardly what I said. That's hardly what I said.
Well, then what are we supposed to do, Marianne? We can't. I wish I could magically make Vladimir Putin disappear, but I can't. He's going to continue to be the leader of Russia. All I can do, or all Trump can do, is prevent thousands of more people from dying in Ukraine, thousands of more Russians and thousands of more Ukrainians. Isn't that worth doing? Even if Ukraine... What if it takes 500,000 or 1 million deaths to get the Ukrainian territory back? Are you willing to do that? I'm not.
Number one, what you can do is support a fair deal. Number two, first of all, if Putin wanted to stop this war, he could stop this war. Putin, when you say you want the killing to stop, if we do the deal that Donald Trump is now suggesting, this will so not be the killing stop. The Russians will go in there and we will see a horror perpetrated against the Ukrainians as punishment without security guarantees. That's why these security guarantees are so important. What we are, America we are so short-sighted sometimes. This is not going to be all Putin saying, okay, it's all over now. We'll just take what we want. You guys be happy.
The horror is being perpetrated right now, and it's going to continue unless Zelensky gets in line with Trump. The only way it's going to end is that way. There's no other way for it to end. Or if we say, okay, we've done our part, Europe's turn, and I take your point that Europe cumulatively has given somewhat more than us.
Yes,
it's like 130 versus 150, somewhere
139,
in there.
120.
Yeah. Okay, so we're giving about as much as all of Europe. This is happening in their backyard, not ours. So I think it's fair for them to give even tremendously more than us. We're the major, NATO is the beneficiary of, it's the U.S. mostly paying for it. The American people are sick of it, Marianne. You know that they are.
This is the deal. We don't have clean hands either. The way this whole war started was not cool. But the conversation, the narrative that you're promulgating right now is the same narrative that would have had us not get into World War II. The idea that what happens in Europe has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with support of and protection of Western liberal democratic values. Yes, that has to do with us. And once again, when you ask what can we do, we can have a better deal. I'm not saying let's not make a deal, but I'm saying let's have a deal that takes into account the needs of the Ukrainians and not just the desires of the Kremlin.
World War II is different because, we were attacked by the allies of
at that point,
Germany.
we'd just been attacked by Japan. We were not attacked by Germany.
Yes, but Japan was in an alliance with Germany. Our allies were under vicious assault by Germany, and we were attacked, and Hitler was bent on total global domination. I think it's a little bit of World War II is in all of our wars that we've had, and I would have thought you would have agreed with this as a progressive person, in the wars over the course of U.S. history, yeah, you can point to one where it was very necessary to get involved in that war, World War II. There's very little disagreement there. But all of the other times, haven't we said in hindsight, yeah, we didn't need to be involved. That was people dying for no reason. World War I, the Spanish-American War. And Vietnam, Korea, right? I agree with what I thought are most progressives, probably, and also libertarian conservatives, that the whole theory of needing intervention in those cases was bad and wrong. And you say defending Western liberal democracy, which I agree is important. But what J.D. Vance is saying about our Western allies, which I wholly agree with, is that they're out there trying to tell American tech companies that they don't want free speech or they don't want those kinds of things. So they're not upholding liberal Western policies. Why don't they stop bullying American companies for practicing American Western Enlightenment ideas, and then we'll talk.
Why doesn't J.D. Vance stop trying to bully European leaders? I didn't say that we were attacked. What I am saying, however, is it is false narrative to say that what happens in Europe has nothing to do with us. Because what happens in Europe absolutely has something to do with us, if not today, than tomorrow. And our thinking about policy should not just include what's right in front of us, but what is likely to come down the road in 6 months, a year, or years from now. Once again, you're absolutely right about horrifying wars that have been brought forth upon us by the military-industrial complex, the neocon establishment, the blob here in
But you don't think this is
Washington.
one of those
There's no
times?
doubt about that. However, in this particular case, while it's not black and white, while getting into it, we didn't necessarily have clean hands either. The idea that we are so eager to give the Kremlin whatever they want, as though the needs of the Ukrainian people do not matter at all, is a complete switch from support of our European allies to support of Vladimir Putin for reasons that none of us have quite figured out yet, but I think it's coming.
Well, I disagree, but that's the point of the show.
That's the
Why
point
don't
of
you
the
tell
show.
us what you think in the comments? Let us know. I'll be reading them. Next up, an author who has written extensively about Donald Trump will be fleshing out more of those Russian connections, and I will be arguing against that vociferously. It will be spicy. Stay tuned.